Welcome, everyone. It is 5:15 on Monday, February 24th, 2020, and the Carroll City Council meeting is now in session. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please note everyone's in attendance except Our first item this evening is the consent agenda, which is approval of the minutes of the February 10th meeting, approval of bills and claims. Under licenses and permits, we have a new Class C liquor license, 8-month with outdoor service and Sunday sales for Golf Services LLC. We also have a renewal of a Class E liquor license with Class B wine permit, which includes carry-out wine and native wine, and Class C beer permit, which includes carry-out beer and Sunday sales, Walmart Supercenter, number 1787. We have a firefighter resignation and appointment. And we also have the wastewater treatment plant disinfection improvements, change order number 3. Are there any questions with regards to the consent agenda? If not, I'll need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. There's a motion and a second. If there's any other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Cox?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. The next item is oral requests and communications from the audience for items not on the agenda. Seeing none, we'll move to our first ordinance this evening. First item, which is ordinances, and it's City Code Chapter 7, Fiscal Management Amendment Ordinance. And Laura, when you're ready for this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So with the passage of Senate File 634 last legislative session, Iowa Code Chapter 384 was updated to reflect a new required public hearing, a hearing for public tax dollars being levied, which we're actually going to hold a public hearing later tonight. This also impacts our City Code Chapter 7.05, our operating budget preparations. We recommend that instead of adding a verbiage that for this particular section, that we change the section to basically state that we're going to follow state code, and whatever state code has for our budget process is what we're going to follow. So that's the ordinance amendment here for you tonight. I'm not saying that this would change anything that we're doing or that we're going to get any pushback because we're following state code. So I would recommend we waive all 3 readings, or approve the first one, waive the second 2, the second and third, and then adopt the ordinance.
Why are we waiving the second and third right away?
It's something that state code says we have to follow this process. So I don't believe that it's something that somebody could come up and argue, say, no, you shouldn't do this.
Okay.
Any other questions for Laura? If not, I need a motion to approve the ordinance amendment to Chapter 7, subsection 05, approval of the first reading, and waive the second and third readings of the ordinance.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. If there's any other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote.
Haley?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
And then I need a motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. There's no other discussion. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Dirks?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Thank you. Let's see here. Next item is under resolutions, and it is for the fire, pumper, truck, and street improvements. General obligation loan note series 2020A, receipt of bids and resolution directing sale. And Laura, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had our bid opening this morning at 10 a.m. for the bids, the capital loan notes that the mayor just mentioned. We have Suzanne Gerlach with PFM here to discuss those results with us.
Thanks, Suzanne.
Right, yeah, I'm super excited to share the results today. I don't know if anybody saw through emails today, but this was to finance the streets and the fire truck. This was the first time the city has sought a rating since 2008. So the rating was established at a AA3. We were disappointed that they notched down. The scorecard indicated a AA2, which is where I thought you should be. I didn't win that argument. Notched down for the population, the age of the workforce, and they think that the population is in decline. Anyway, I argued as best I could that Carroll isn't the usual rural Iowa community, but that's what the preliminary data indicated. Still, very strong rating. AA3 is a very strong rating. It's in the top tier of the AA category, and so with that, excited to share with the pricing that the city received tonight. We went out to market, received 9 bids, including one of your local banks, from over 29 different firms, with the true interest cost ranging from 1.21% to 2.33%. The market bids came in from 1.21 to 1.55, and then the local bank was at 2.33. The winning bank came from Bank of New York Mellon out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at 1.21%. They did bid at a premium, and so that did increase the project fund proceeds by about $243,000. And pricing today only 17 basis points over the AAA scale. So whether we were AA2 or AA3 today, I think was literally 2 basis points, maybe 3. So very good pricing today in the market. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I will also mention the tax rate. We did look at if you're successful with your referendum for the rec center, making sure there's some capacity in the 22 tax rate. And so these are structured with the rec center to be at a 153 or less in future years. Without the rec center, I think you would have a 140. So, any questions?
How long will the 153 be?
Well,
Excuse me, if the rec center passes.
And that, I don't think I have that one with me tonight, but I believe it's 3 years. Is it 3 years? 2 years. 2 years before it drops,
Then
yeah.
it drops to.
It really is gonna be driven by your valuation growth.
Okay.
I think that we're structuring it, I think we have no growth in your valuations, and so we're structuring it 2 years with no valuation growth at the 153, and then it'll decline kind of naturally thereafter. With the local option sales tax contribution for your tax relief that goes into the debt service, without new debt, your tax rate basically goes negative within, I have that right in front of me. I think it's just a few years. I think it's by 29, local option sales tax is more than what your debt outstanding would be. So, yeah, very good results today. Very pleased. Yeah. Well, I can't take credit for it. The market went down 8 basis points again today. So, thank you, coronavirus. I guess I don't know.
So this is for 9 years?
Through 2029. Yes, we're paying principal right away in June 1st of 2020. This was the pre-levy from last year, and also the pre-levy for this year included in the fiscal 21 budget and in the tax rate that has been included in the budget. Any questions?
I don't expect you to necessarily know this, but I'm kind of curious how they arrive at our population when there hasn't been a census for 10 years.
So that's a
What do
really
they
good
use?
question, and that's what I argued very strongly. They look at just trends, statewide, Midwest-wide, what they think. It's a census estimate, and it's not a real census. And so the question I asked was, okay, when we get the census in 2020, do we get the upgrade, right? Because we know that Carroll isn't like, I think they predicted, was it 8,900 was the population that they were assuming?
9,800.
9,800, okay, yeah, I had that backwards, 9,800, when I think you're gonna be over 10, so, you know, and the aging workforce was part of the notch down growth, so I tried to ask, okay, well, if we get a population that's up, and we get better census data, and maybe the age, we'll know a better sense of the age, because I think that, you know, I don't think Carroll is the traditional rural hub. I tried to explain that they have to rely on the data that's available to them. They use that American Financial, I don't remember the acronym for it, but it's a subset of the Census Bureau that provides that information. They just look at trends and they apply the trend to everybody proportionally. And I don't think Carroll is the typical city, but I didn't win that argument.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I had the data with me because I knew that was going to be a question. Was we went back and looked at 2009, right before the 2010 census, and they had us at, 9,800 back then, kind of a similar trend now. And then obviously 2010 it was 10,103. So I think census has a really difficult time gauging rural populations. I mean, they're not out. They look at the urban areas and what's happening in urban areas, and I think they've tried to just apply an average in rural areas.
So I'm gonna fight every time we go back. That's all we can do is put our best foot forward, and they rely on what they rely on, and they're gonna use their inputs just because that's what they use for everybody else. They can't give you a different, they can't use your word and take your word for it. They have to use the information that's available to them as it becomes available. So when we go back and we have the census data, then we'll fight again.
And I think the good thing in the Moody's report, the thing to highlight is the things we can control, the things the council can control, we were rated very highly on.
AAA in some instances.
Our financial status, our reserves, our spending levels. I mean, they were really complimentary in those regards. So I think that's a big takeaway of what we can control. They really rank very highly.
Absolutely.
It was the subjective stuff that we didn't have the control over. That's where they kind of dinged us.
Yeah, and they reserve the right, so the scorecard is just like the initial rating based on the data, and then they reserve the right to notch up or down based on other qualitative factors, and Moody's, for some reason, was pretty strict about the notch for the workforce and the population, which, we had the discussion, S&P maybe isn't quite as, there's different factors, right? Moody's and S&P, the two rating agencies that are primarily used in Iowa, there's different factors that go into the scores for each, and the scorecards are a little bit different, and the risk tolerance for one may be a little different for the other, but S&P comes with its own constraints. There's annual fees to maintain a rating if you're not going to get a rating every year, and so, we stayed with Moody's. I was hoping, I knew you would be in the scorecard, I knew you were going to be AA too, I already knew that going in, and I was just disappointed that we got the notch down.
But regardless, we got a great rate.
Oh my gosh, 17 basis points over AAA, I mean, that's usually AA1 pricing, so, yeah, very good pricing today. Any other questions? All right, then I would recommend that the council receive the bids and award to Bank of New York BNY Mellon Capital Markets out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at a true interest cost of 1.2193%.
For the total purchase price of $1,720,444.53. Yeah. For the general obligation loan note series 2028 for a fire pumper truck and street improvements completed as part of the street rehab 2019 project. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Wait, everybody said something at work. Who made the motion?
I'll make one.
Okay.
Yes, I'll make the motion.
So Fleshner first, Dirk second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Haley,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Cots,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes,
Seaman.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Congratulations on a very successful stuff.
thank you.
Thank you for your hard work in that. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Suzanne.
You're very welcome.
The next item on our agenda is the fiscal year 2021 maximum property tax dollars. And it is 5:29, and we'll open a public hearing. And Laura, please, when you're ready.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so this is the time for our public hearing for the new requirement that the state put into place with Senate File 634, aimed at adding transparency to city and county property taxes, where we're taking a look at the levy that was levied in your, our current fiscal year that we're in, fiscal 20. Then if we asked for the same tax dollar amount, but applied the new valuation, taxable valuation information for this next year, what the levy would do, and then what you're actually asking for in the new budget in fiscal 21, and what the rate does over those three scenarios. And in this case, from fiscal 20 budget to fiscal 21, under the different categories, the only required levies that we are to look at, there is an increase of 0.005 0.63%. And once again, those levies that are affected by this public hearing are what we call the 810 or the regular general levy, the liability, property, and self-insurance, and the employee benefits levy. It doesn't include debt service. But this is the time for the public hearing if anybody has any questions. This was published as required. It was, the notice of the publication of the public hearing was published on Tuesday, February 11th, as required by state code.
Then the next report, that'll have the remaining levies.
Then, yes, we will have to do another public hearing for the whole entire budget, yes.
So this is a public hearing. If anybody in the public has any comments with regards to the maximum property tax dollars? No? Any other discussion from the council? We had kind of gone through that in the 3 days and knew where we were. That being said, it is 5:31. I'll close the public hearing. And I need a motion to approve a resolution approving the fiscal year 2020-2021 maximum property tax dollars resolution. There's a motion and a second. There's no other discussion. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. The next thing under resolutions is the cleaning services contracts for City Hall and Police Department. And Laura,
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
when you're ready.
We'll make a couple notes here.
Yep, take your time. You got a lot on the agenda.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so if you recall, back in November, the city had received notice from Employment Resources, which is a service of New Hope, that due to some changes in their funding and their operations, they were no longer going to be offering cleaning service for contract. That if we would like to continue to receive services from them, we would have to hire on the clients as personnel for the city. Due to this change, they were canceling our contract as of the end of December, but they were going to allow for a 3-month extension for businesses to decide how they would like to proceed forward. So city staff took a look at our different options, either continuing to work with Employment Resources or seeking another contract with another independent contractor or hiring somebody on full-time. We felt that at this time, we're not interested in hiring part-time individuals to manage. We looked at the full-time, we think it's gonna be easily $70,000 by the time you add in the wages for a full-time person and all the benefits. So then, a request for proposal or RFP was created to seek what the services or how much it would cost for different companies to clean the different facilities. So we had a bid opening and I don't believe I included the bid opening information. I apologize for that. However, the low bid for City Hall and the library was from a company called Bewitched Cleaning Services out of Sac City. And the low bid for the police department was from a company called the Clean Solutions Inc. from Coon Rapids. These expenses have been incorporated into each of the department's budget for the remainder of our fiscal 20 year and also incorporated it in our fiscal 21 budget proposal that we had discussed with council. We've reviewed the bids, we've checked client references, we've had some conversations. We'll need to just pinpoint a date that we would like to have them begin if council approves this, but staff would recommend entering into contracts with these two companies. There is, the contract is written so that there is a 30-day cancellation by either party, and that it is for this first year, a little over a year till June 30th, and then there would be a renewal period that if either company wants to renew or not.
And that's good for 3 years.
Yes.
You had the bids in here, but not all of them that we received.
Yes, I apologize.
Just in that memo.
Yes, I meant to
The
include
winning bids, is
yes.
what you, yeah.
Did we receive many, Laura?
We
Many bids?
received 4.
Okay, Were they close, spread out, do you recall?
There was one that they bid for City Hall, like, I think $3,500 a month, and the library 4,000. One had bid it per day, so that was kind of hard to compare. And some of them, they only bid one place or the other, they didn't bid all locations. Due to their workload, it's just what they felt they could handle at this time.
Okay, thanks.
Where'd you see the 3-year thing?
It's in the back of that, it's down here at in the term section. So option to renew up to 3 additional years. At the bottom of the contracts there, yeah.
Read part.
And each contract has it. So and then the 30-day
Yeah, I
out
missed
clause is at the way at the last
I
line.
just missed
Yeah. Well, once she explained it, that's the way I took it, that it was for 3 additional
Yes,
years.
yes.
And then we can do what we need to do, or
Yep.
if we need to do another RFP or evergreen this again, we can, so. And then this would start, is it March or?
Well, we haven't pinpointed a time yet, we're, probably for the clean break, we may go with April 1, since it's billed on monthly,
1 month, yeah.
yeah. I know the
So
one
March
says,
30th.
the one does say that, but we'll talk with the contractor and see if they're agreeable to maybe doing an April 1, since it's a monthly contract.
Any other questions for Laura? If not, I'll need a motion for the resolution to enter into a contract for cleaning services with the Witch Clean to Clean City Hall. I'll just do these separate, is what I think.
That's fine, yep.
Yeah. So the initial one's the first one's for City Hall.
Do we need dollars associated with the two, Mr. Mayor?
I don't know if this one would or not, since it's a contract, but we can put in there
For $1,700 a month.
$1,700 a month.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go and vote, please.
Dirks? Haley?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
And then the next resolution is to enter into contract for cleaning services with Cleaning Solutions Incorporated for the Carroll Police Department at $624 per month.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Haley?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda under resolutions is a professional services agreement, Grand Park Creek Improvements 2020, and Mike will take care of this, please.
Yes, this is a professional services agreement with Shive Hattery this evening to develop plans for work to stabilize and improve the creek in Graham Park, also known as lateral 77 drainage ditch number 23. The work involved is planned improvements to the creek, including improvements to the wing wall, protection of existing infrastructure, outfall protection, and creek access and experience. Shive Hattery will also work with the county on this proposed project since they have jurisdiction over the creek area. The professional services agreement includes the following parts: design work at $16,600, wetland delineation and permitting at $4,600, drainage district coordination at $2,300 for a total estimated price of $23,500. Revenue for this includes local option sales tax at $75,000, a grant from REAP in the amount of $125,000, interest that we've earned from the loss of $1,247,000 for a total of $201,247. Expenses, we've already done work with the Graham Park Master Plan last year at $27,000. This contract at $23,500, and then an opinion of probable cost, and we have inflated that for 2021 cost of an estimated $137,540 for a total estimated expenses of $188,040. So currently we have additional revenue of $13,207 available for the account. Recommendation is for the mayor and city council to consider and approve the professional services agreement with Shive Hattery this evening for the Grand Park Creek improvements for a fee of $23,500. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Go ahead, Eric.
Nope, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, the B, under improvements, protection of existing infrastructure. There, and looking at the picture, back several pages, that shows a picture of the existing infrastructure. Will any of the work involve, I don't know, damaging or removing the stone pillars that are there that are historic?
Yeah, I mean,
Or
no.
do we,
The stone pillars would
They will
remain. Yeah,
so they
we're
will
not
not
proposing.
be at
No,
all?
but it's doing things that would, ensure that those bridge structures, which I think are pretty important to the district overall, can remain in place. So, if there needs to be additional erosion protection around it, that's the type of
That,
infrastructure.
but not
protection.
redoing that walkway and removing those stones?
No, I mean, the snow removal is not part of it. I mean, and that's
Okay.
important for the bridge itself.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's
it's part of the whole
design.
environment. Okay, that's all I was
So the other thing
concerned about.
we had talked about when this thing first came out, I think, was some more to the railings, just to make them up to code.
Yeah, I didn't know if
Oh,
they have
the
to,
railings
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
I remember that was a discussion when we first addressed this about a year or so ago.
good.
That's my concern with the erosion and environmental stuff going on, and with that being a drainage ditch, is there anything else that they're gonna look at as far as environmental stuff with that?
And they will, and that'll be part of the coordination
That'll
with
be
the
part-
county to ensure that the capacity way of the drainage
Is maintained.
is maintained, and if anything, improved, along with making those improvements that kind of make it more park-like, which has been kind of the goal of Grand Park study overall.
Cause we just did all that work under Highway 30 to make that, should open that up even a little bit more to allow for drainage in there. That shouldn't affect this.
No, I mean, the work on 30 and Grant, I mean, that extended that bridge, but it didn't increase
It
capacity.
didn't increase any capacity there, okay. I don't think that really flooded much. Randy, do you, flooding down there in that drainage area, is that,
There is
You remember?
actually in the flood insurance study, there is some area, the low areas of Grant Park, that are indicated as flood areas.
okay,
And it does extend into a little of the housing along 7th Street. That's the current flood insurance study.
okay, alright.
So is it actually named Grand Park Creek, or is that what we coined for
That's
this?
just what we've named it.
Okay,
I mean, its technical name is
Yes.
lateral number 77 drainage ditch.
It's time to change that name. We need to start thinking about what,
Well, that would be a county
yes,
decision.
we have no choice in, that's their,
Yeah, cause they do
Well,
drainage ditches.
okay,
Yeah.
great. Maybe they like that name.
No, there's Mr. Number 23 out there. We gotta honor him.
Change my name to lateral or something. Any other questions for Mike? If not, I need a motion to approve the professional services agreement with Shive Hattery for the Grand Park Creek, improvements, lateral number 77 drainage district, number 23 for the fee of $23,500.
So moved.
Second. There's a motion and a second, further discussion, we'll go and vote please.
Dirks?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Excel Development Group, Iowa Finance Authority, Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program Support Request, and Mike, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Chris Lins of Excel Development Group has approached the city requesting city support for a new development that development being called Carroll Senior Estates LLC. The proposed development will consist of 10 two-bedroom duplexes for a total of 20 units for residents aged 55 and over. The development is proposed to be located on property currently owned by Roman J. Steffes and Sons Construction, located immediately south of the North Ridge 4th Subdivision, Phase 3, and immediately east of Bella Vista Drive. The units will all have high-efficiency appliances, heating and air conditioning, and an attached one-car garage. And the proposed rents are as follows. 14 units will be targeted for individuals with 60% area median income with rents of $600 a month. 2 units will be targeted for 50% area median income with rents of $550 a month. And 4 units will be targeted for individuals with 40% area median income with rents of $485 a month. The developer has estimated that utilities will be at or below $100, which is in addition to the rents above. The total project cost is approximately $4.9 million, and the concept plan, which is shown on the screen now, includes a cul-de-sac that would be off of North Bella Vista Drive running east-west with 10 units on each side of that cul-de-sac. Elevations were also included in the packet, and if you go to the next slide, this shows a sample elevation. Now, this was from a development that Excel Development Group did in Grand Island, Nebraska, but this is similar to what they would be proposing here in Carroll. And if you go to the next one, you can see a copy of the floor plan. These are 2-bedroom, 1-bath units with the attached garage. So the low-income housing tax credit program through the Iowa Finance Authority does set a tax credit cap of $348,160 per unit that cannot be exceeded by the development units in this program. And as such, the developer is making a request that the city install the public infrastructure in the development by committing $150,000 from TIF funding towards the infrastructure. And the developer would then pay any infrastructure expenses over $150,000 upfront to the city. If the city continues or completes the infrastructure and makes that direct payment, then the city's contribution would not count towards the cap set by IFA. And then once developed, the site would generate an estimated $112,000 a year in TEF over a 10-year period. The remaining $38,000 then could come from the LMI set-aside that was generated as part of the Rolling Hills South Condominium Urban Renewal District to cover the full $150,000 infrastructure costs the city would be looking at. The city has had discussions with Excel Development now for a number of months and has really found that they do have a pretty good track record. They have developments in 4 states, completing nearly 2,000 housing units. Staff has visited a site in Orange City that was completed in 2013, 2014 by Excel Development Group. We met with staff from the City of Orange City, including the Community Development Director, Police Chief, Code Enforcement Officer, Rental Housing Inspector. They all were very pleased and very complimentary of the work Excel did in their community and noted that they're in the process of actually working on a second development in Orange City for the upcoming IFA cycle. Staff did include on the council dais tonight a revised resolution that adds the project name Carroll Senior Estates LLC, and the changes were highlighted in the resolution. That's the only change that was made to the resolution. So staff's recommendation this evening is to consider a resolution supporting Excel Development Group's low-income housing tax credit program application to the Iowa Finance Authority. And I would note Chris Williams is here this evening and be happy, I believe, to answer any questions you have. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions council has on this evening.
We'd already tipped this, so that's done.
There is a TIF district set up on this property. Likely there would have to be an amendment to that district. And going forward kind of to that point, tonight's resolution does provide support to the application and indicates the city would support it financially. But it also notes that the city does have other requirements of public hearings and other actions we have to take, so if those were not followed through, then the city wouldn't be obligated to continue
This is a 10-year payback.
through TIF, yes.
Through TIF.
Mike, the main question I fielded over the weekend from people, their question for me was, are these section 42/8 houses? And the answer is?
It is, so the low-income housing tax credit program is section 42.
So these are section 42/8.
Well, it wouldn't be /8.
Well,
It's
but you
section
can't turn
42.
away section 8 vouchers when you build section 42, is that correct?
I guess I would.
That's what I've been told in the past, okay. Just so the public, when they.
Give us your name.
Understandable. Chris Lance, XL Development Group. Thank you for the opportunity to be here in your consideration. Yes, this is a section 42, which is the allocation of federal tax credits to the state of Iowa, and then we apply for those. If they're awarded to the project. We then sell those to an investor. We take the equity and take it in. There are no, that's a completely different program from Section 8. Any individual that has a Section 8 can take that voucher to any rental unit in the city and rent a unit. So we have no set-asides, no direct units that are labeled for Section 8, but we're also legally bound to accept any tenants that may have them as long as they meet the qualifications.
Sure. Thank
And
you.
one of the qualifications was 55 and older in this.
Correct.
Right.
development.
Right.
Yeah,
Is
and I just would throw out real quick, the income limits, I mean, these are folks that are, again, age 55 and older, who have income, and they have to have this income in order to qualify for the rents. If they don't make enough income, they cannot qualify to live there. So the 60% rents, maximum income for Carroll County is $40,500. And then it goes down to 33,750 and then 27,000.
Another question I had, knowing that it's over 55, the income qualifications, are these handicapped accessible?
They're
Any
all
of them?
handicapped adaptable. I think 3 of the units are actual handicapped units because we're accessing home funds through the state of Iowa, and we are required to have it now.
So 3 of the.
3 will
the
be
20. Okay.
full ADA units. And then all of the units will be visitable, meaning hallways will be wider, doors will be wider, it's 0 entry. And then the handicap units, they'll have lowered appliances with the controls on the front and lower sinks,
Okay.
etc. All of the units will have grab bars, step and shower.
Thanks.
Do you also need to do the 60/50/40 program in order to qualify for this? Where do you get your ratio?
I'm sorry?
Where do you get your ratio of units of 14 units being 60?
That's the scoring matrix that we play with IFA to get the maximum number of points. So it's a competitive process. We have to take a $4.5 million project and figure out how to service the debt on that. So we kind of go through and break down what the best way to set the cash flow up is. So we have to have, in order to get the points for the 40% units, a certain number of our percentage of our units have to be 40% units. So it's strictly a point-driven application. The decision you make here tonight definitely helps in those points. I can tell you that other communities do the exact same thing. That's how popular this program is and how beneficial it is to the community.
Are you gonna build all 20 units at the same time or kind of phase them in
The
over time?
first, those will all go in at once, the first 10. We do have a first right of refusal on the
Second.
west, on the east end of that property that we would then apply back after. We anticipate these to be full. I mean, they'll be full as soon as they're done. We would probably go back, probably not the next round, but probably within 18 to 24 months to apply for a phase 2, which then we would extend that street on down. So right now, we'll work with the city on some sort of a temporary turnaround for emergency vehicles, that type of thing.
And then just follow the street all the way through when the
Correct.
second phase is done.
Yeah.
Construction set date, you, like this spring or next fall?
The awards, IFA, am I being recorded? IFA and their infinite wisdom, with the awards being announced in August, September, October, November, December, January. We'll probably break ground in the spring as early as we can.
A year from now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you don't get any snow or ice here, then we can start winter.
Bypassed us today, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll just go as soon as we can. We've got to get a release of funds from, if we receive the home funds, there's some environmental work that we have to do and reports we have to prepare. By the time we get through the due diligence, it'll be a 4-month process from August by the time we're able to close on everything.
Very good.
All of our work will be bid locally. We do have a construction company, but it's basically site managers that then will put this plans and the specs out for bid, and we'll do as much as we can here.
So it just, so that the one individual has to be 55, there's one individual has to be 55?
Correct. Right. The other option is a 62 and older, and on the 62, both residents have to be 62. But on 55, you can have a husband that's 55 and a spouse that's 54. So.
Would you explain, so Excel is the owner and management company also?
We also manage.
Explain, will there, okay, so will there be a manager on site or?
We'll most likely have a local person / manager. With us having several units up in Orange City, we'll probably share that, but we'll have someone available on site for any emergencies in that. But through the rent up period and that, we'll have someone here all the time.
But you remain the owner?
We'll remain owner. It's a 45-year commitment to the income-based project. Investors and everybody goes away after year 15. So it's an actual viable project. I mean, if we needed to, we could stretch it to about 15 years. We do that in some communities as well. It's a for-profit company. We don't necessarily own it, and this is where the tax credit program gets a bit convoluted. The investor, which would most likely be Midwest Housing Equity Group, they have an office in Des Moines. They will apply for credits. They will own 99.99% of the project, and that's because with it being tax credits, they absorb the losses, and there's a whole other class on that. So, but we are the literally we own 0.01%, and then at the end of 15 years, typically we'll keep going, and if it needs to be put back into the program for rehab work or anything like that, we'll take a look at that. But it's required to stay affordable for 45 years.
I looked you up on the internet. Also, one of your properties, reading about Orange City, income is verified annually. Is that correct? Your company does that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a staff of probably close to 100 people working in all our states and all our communities.
Now, do you provide the renters mowing?
Yes, it's maintenance free, lawn care, snow removal, trash removal is all paid for by the project, as well as water and sewer.
So that's a part of the rent, but then you mentioned they have utilities around.
They cover their own use, their own electric. It'll be all electric. They'll be high energy. It'll be heat pump, high energy efficient heating and air project.
Do you buy your materials locally?
I mean, if we can, absolutely. Yeah, we'll put everything out to bid here.
Got one little question here on our statement that we have. It says 20 units for residents age 55 and over. You had just mentioned some exceptions to somebody can be 54.
It didn't say. Correct. In the 55 and older group, one of the residents has to be 55. One of the spouses.
So this is married couples you're saying, or you can have any combination, or what's the deal? Well, here I'm looking at a mother
Yeah.
with a,
Yeah, single parent.
yeah, single parent,
Well,
has a
it's-
20-year-old.
It's all income based. The tenants have to be 55 and older. Now, I'm not saying that, I mean, we do have instances where there's and that's anywhere. You may have a grandchild or a daughter move in, but if another individual moves in, we have to they have to let us know, and they have to be income qualified. If they make too much income now with whoever's living in there, they wouldn't be able to stay there.
So could people move amongst these tiers, 60, 50, 40?
No, once you get there, it's income based, so it's,
But per year, I thought I heard you say, annual, you reviewed it annually?
we verify their income.
Okay,
Right.
so they
We
can
won't
move out
kick
on that,
anybody out if they go over,
okay? But if they go lower,
as long as they can afford the rents, they can stay there. And that's typically, we have any bankers in here, it's usually 33% of your income is what we have to do. And they have to qualify for that.
I have one more. I'm
I
sorry.
see, I was just getting ready to then
Well, I just wanted to fill in the blanks here a little bit or flesh it out. You said you have an option on the land to the east. Are you what types of structures are you envisioning?
We would
If you
just
would-
continue that.
The-
They would be
They
the
would
same.
be duplexes, would you, now you build larger duplexes also,
We
correct?
can,
Like 3
if we go 3-bedroom, it has to be considered then a family project. 2-bedroom is the maximum for seniors.
okay,
We could go in and do family, but it typically doesn't, we could do a family project and have all seniors move in. But a family project, these are, with the garage, they're almost 1,400 square feet on a slab, so there's really not a lot of room for children. I wouldn't want to put them in there.
so you envision more of
We would do
what
the
you
exact
did.
same thing, yeah.
So it would be 55 and over.
Mhm. Yeah, we wouldn't mix it. Now, the project we have in Orange City was a family project, but we have probably 80% seniors living in there just because they qualify for the rents. Now, we'll go in, we're gonna do 20 of these, 10 duplexes, 20 units in Orange City, and that will be senior housing.
Do you see much turnover?
Very, very little. And the reason is, these are excellent units, they're high quality, there's brick on the front, they'll look like any of the other homes that are out there. They're well built, and honestly, for the rents that we charge, they wouldn't be able to live anywhere else. No, if a lot of folks that move in at 55, they're in till they have to move out or carry out.
So, I was at a meeting in Sanford, so your units in Orange City sold out real quickly, I understand.
They rent it up quickly, correct?
And you're doing another set of these,
Correct.
and do you have those sold out?
Well, we won't start, the application information is only good for, if it's 6 months from when we take it. But we do have a waiting list in Orange City right now, and that we know those 20 units will be rented up pretty quick. Word gets out, Mary moves in and she tells her 2 friends, and this particular program, we have very, very little turnover. Extremely low turnover. And we do go in once a month, they are inspected, we change filters, that type of thing, so we do keep an eye on everything.
I went to a meeting up there last week, and I asked some questions, and I'm hearing the same thing as what you're saying, is pretty well accepted up
Yeah, I mean, Orange City, I could probably do 40 units, it's just hard to justify that many units at one time in a community that size. Here, I could also probably do more, but I think 20 is a good number to start with. You know, if we can work with Marty on the land and be able to develop the other side of that, I mean, we'll have, you know, 40 units here in no time. And the great thing about a senior project, and I mentioned this to the mayor, Mike, and you were at the meeting too. No, someone else. You, okay. The great thing about the senior project is, as opposed to going into a family, of these 20 units, we may be turning over 5 or 6 homes in Carroll that are affordable to maybe a younger family, which are a lot cheaper than I can go in and build on a market rate home. So they will move from their homes and rent here, and then that frees up a workforce house, more or less. So we kind of roll the housing stock on a senior project like this. I do have some brochures. I know I left some with Mike when I was here, but they've got pictures of what the duplexes look like. And if you've been to our website, you've seen what they are.
Mike, there hasn't been any infrastructure development out there at all, has there? That you are aware of?
There is some on the west side, but on the parcel, within the parcel itself, no.
Nothing.
Mr. Foggy Weaver, did we at the city go out and seek this interest, or did they come to us?
They approached us,
And I was going through the application process for IFA and trying to figure out, we've got right now, we're doing a rehab project in South Sioux City, and then Orange City had contacted me about coming to do a phase 2. I wanted to submit 2 applications. I went through the scoring process, identified maybe 10 communities kind of in central and western Iowa that looked like they would score well and we'd be able to get funded. And I happened to be working with Nathan Gretman on some properties in Nebraska, and I mentioned Carroll, and he got all excited. So he brought me down here, put me in touch with Marty, and we just think it's a great opportunity for Carroll. It's a great location. Like I said, it should score well.
Any other questions for Chris or Mike? If not, I need a motion. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate your time. Need a motion to for the resolution supporting Carroll Development Group's low-income housing tax credit application to the Iowa Finance Authority.
That's the revised resolution. Correct.
Oh, yes. For a project in Carroll called Carroll Senior Estates LLC. Which would cover this new.
So moved.
Second. There's a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Cox?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Seaman? Yes. Dirks?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Bates? Yes. Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. The next item on the agenda is the 2019 Community Development Block Grant, Owner Occupied Housing Rehab Grant, the Affirmative Fair Housing Policy, and Laura, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had received an email from Carla Janning about a week ago, asking if the city had this affirmative fair housing policy on file in the office, and talking with her and what was needed, and looking at the template that the IED says they would accept. We did not have this on file. Dave reviewed it, and basically it says that it's stuff that we're required to do under federal law anyway. It's just then having this in writing and on file. So this is a required policy to put in place to continue with the paperwork for the community development block grant from our occupied rehab grant that we've been awarded already.
So some of the other ones that we had awarded several years ago. No, okay. Are there any questions for Laura? If not, I need a motion to approve the resolution to approve new policy number 0107.2, affirmative fair housing policy.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. There's no other discussion. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Haley?
Yes.
Seaman? Jerks?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Space? Yes. Motion's approved.
Thank you. Alright, under reports, I have a memo from the Downtown Carroll Public Restroom Committee. And I want to thank you guys on that committee. This is what I think what we were looking for is what had transpired with this. I read through this pretty good. You guys did a very good job putting stuff together. I appreciate the time that you took. It looks like, I think I would like to see the committee continue over time, if that works. Just to kind of start keeping the businesses in line for helping you out. But Clay or Carolyn, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Sure, that is our entire intention with this program, is to have administration and oversight of the business of the downtown public bathrooms. It fell on just a few people to take care of the bathrooms. There wasn't a real good group to lead it, take care of it, and it has been a real experience working with everyone to come together and form this committee that is now working to put a good, viable, long-term solution for a public restroom in our downtown together. We look for this to be a good public and private venture between both the city, the Rotary Club's gotten involved and brought some money up already, as well as the business owners in the downtown business district. And included, you will find a copy of a letter proposed to go to the business owners, and that will go out dependent upon what we figure out here with the city. But we'll take that out and start working with businesses to solicit their monies towards the bathroom. And I think it's really key that we have this group come together to add transparency and actual numbers to it. We included a template of a financial statement that, as it fleshes out over the next 6 months and next year, will give us a very good picture of what the actual expenses are for the bathroom, as well as where our dollars come in from.
I think this is what the intent of having that committee, when we set this up, clear back several years ago, this is, I think, what was intended. And I looked through the minutes, and you guys, I think you did an outstanding job putting it all together.
Well,
And I appreciate the work.
Todd supplied the statement, the
Yeah.
balance sheet, so
Yep.
everything is gonna be very transparent and up to date. We would like to meet quarterly, I believe, to go over the numbers and see where we're at. And I was surprised to learn that this is probably, we think it's the only downtown restroom facility that is ADA compliant.
Yeah, I
People
noticed
who
that.
have them
yeah.
in their own businesses, that they use them for their staffs, et cetera. So this is all ADA compliant and something that didn't exist until this came into existence, so.
Todd, the way I understood it in there, you will take care of the financial part of it. Is that the way I understood that when I read that in there? Or Bob, you wanna come up?
Yeah, I'm president of the Carroll Rotary Club, and I've already met with 3/5 of the board, and we'd be happy to administer this since we're a nonprofit. Show you every month if you want a statement from us, we'd be glad to provide it for you. And anything that you want, we'd be happy to get along. This is one of our signature projects, and one that we're very, very proud of to be serving the downtown Carroll. But there's certainly a need for restrooms downtown. It's just
Yeah,
unique.
That's what I was looking at. I
You
think
bet,
that's the
yeah,
appropriate.
we'll
that was the
gladly
appropriate way
do
to do
everything we
this.
can to administer, do anything else that you guys want, so.
Okay. Just so we know who the key person is
You
to
bet,
that.
yeah, and our
Right.
treasurer, I've already talked with him, he'll gladly make up a monthly report for you.
Okay.
If you got any questions at all, we'd be happy to answer.
But your contribution's already been approved and.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, well, I did
Great.
that
Appreciate
a
it.
month ago, when I heard this was coming up, we already got approval for that right away, so we're
Great work,
100%
thanks.
back of it.
And I chime in here too, Todd has very graciously volunteered to have his staff keep just the numbers in the financials entered and up to date, so that with our oversight from the club as well as the committee should really keep it on the up and up, and you know, not only can Todd feel good that he's protected and not doing anything wrong, but anyone who's putting money into the project, be it the city, Rotary Club, the business owners can rest assured that their dollars are being minded very responsibly and kept in a transparent fashion. Bob, thank you for the work with the
You
club.
bet, yeah, thank you.
The one thing I wanna bring in is the $2,000 this year and the $4,000 next year and ongoing. There's enough money that's come in to support our engagement in it to this year for me to say the 2,000 is fine. But to go on to the next year without seeing your charge sheets filled out, I'm not willing to go next year already. I need to see more of this done before I commit to next year.
Yeah, we understand that, we'll do it a year-to-year thing, you can see exactly what we're doing when you get the report from us.
Yeah, it's looking through that report, that's what I was
Well,
expecting to go on an annual basis.
By next year, do you mean the budget that begins July 1?
right.
Okay,
here.
okay, thanks. Sure.
The only thing is I don't know if we can say 4,000 at this point. Let's wait until the numbers come in to start talking about that number.
That's fair.
That's a very agreeable point of view, and hopefully we'll have some very good data even within 6 months here to be able to forecast our costs.
Yeah, we want some type of commitment at some point so that we get from the city when we go around and talk to the business owners and ask, you know, what they can do also. And I know I mentioned it before that our business owners generate the 1.6 million we receive annually to do so many projects. And looking at the $4,000, you do the math, it's 1/4 of 1%. If we give 4,000 a year, 1/4 of 1% of what we receive from our business owners, and I think that's a good return on our money.
In our local option
Yeah,
sales.
from our local option sales tax, correct, yeah,
I'm not really arguing that.
yeah.
I wanna
Oh, no,
see,
I get it.
I wanna see data before I'm saying, yeah, you can have the next 4,000.
Oh,
I gotta have
definitely.
data before I make that decision.
We'd like to get you some. We'd like it too.
But, you know, this is the start of that, that's
Yeah,
what
that's what
these
I'm
forms were.
That's why I'm fine
And
with
that's
the
what I
2,000
wanted to
this year.
see, yeah.
And Laverne would be a part of the budget process where there's an ask
Yeah.
every year, so, and you'd have the data.
You know, the Rotary Club stepped up with $1,200 already. If we can secure 2,000 to the club again for the restrooms maintenance and care, that would give us a good start. We can keep things clean, we can get some TP and
Well,
keep things moving.
one of the things I'm getting at is the data that we have gotten to us for the last 4 or 5 years that we
Right.
got that was all mixed. There was no
Right.
foundation
Right.
to it, and I'm like, I can't agree to just give you money just because I gotta have good data. I'm not.
And I agreed with you on that, and that's why when I got this report and I see what they're gonna do is everything will be allocated
I think everything's
and
fine.
the
Updated
information will be
on the-
correct and it'll be more fluid and in
More
a concrete business fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was looking for, and I think that was the expectation, I think, of the committee when it was supposed to have been formed years ago, so.
Well, none of us can go back and change that now,
No.
but we can sure
No,
do
no, I agree,
a good job with it moving forward, and
correct, this gives us
got
a
a
start.
very strong team to start.
Mhm.
I think it's a good foundation, stuff I'd still like to see you know, what the buy-in from the business owners are gonna be before we commit.
We've got a chicken and an egg thing going on with that, Mike. We have the business owners kind of in the same boat as what you just mentioned, and I certainly respect it and know right where you're coming from.
That's the same thing I was thinking too, but the 1,200 that the Rotary put forward, kind of like, okay, I'll jump in for $2,000 this year with
Yeah.
that. Now, if they didn't do that, yeah, probably not.
I'd like to see the primary stakeholders have some skin in the game. You know, the business owners, they've indicated us that this is an important piece. And if it's that important to them, for $10 a month, I'd like to see them demonstrate that.
And we think we'll be able to get that to you, Mike. Now, that said, I told you I think we can do that. I haven't proven it yet, okay? But we've got a pretty solid plan for what to ask from them, and you're right, it comes to a very nominal dollar amount potentially. That's a lot less and a lot easier way to go about it than some of the past asks where it was several $100s at a crack. One of the other things that we're looking to do is to implement, and we've got the groundwork laid for it already, a direct deposit format. So we're just taking once they agree to it and set it up, we ACH the money out of their account on a monthly basis. That helps any business with cash flow and keeping things going rather than that big, several $100 out the door ask.
That's the big thing I wanna see, is I wanna see some buy-in.
I can agree with this, but Carroll, you make the best point. I mean, they're almost working for the city in a way,
They work hard.
And-
Well, you know
Yeah, by sales, And I can comment just, making your bathroom available to the public is not an easy thing to do, especially for some of those businesses, so this gives everyone an option. So I think it is important to business owners to know that. Then for $10 a month, you have an option of where to send people, because it is not easy to send somebody back behind your cash register to use your restroom. It's an uncomfortable situation. In fact, in my business, that's exactly why we built the bathroom out in front so people could reach it. Because I did work in a location that was exactly like all of you are dealing with. And I know you don't want to do that. And so I agree that we need some commitment, but I'd be willing to show that the city's ready before we get that actual commitment from the.
Has this
From the
gone
businesses.
out? Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
We haven't done
no.
anything yet, okay.
Well, I know, we grappled with the chicken and the egg thing, and, I don't know, my pitch was, I think it would be good if the city leads by example. So that we had some type of a commitment, when we went out to the business people. And maybe that $2,000, seed money to match, to go with the Rotary's 1,200 would be a start. I don't know if I agree with you, I use skin in the game myself, and I agree with you, I don't know, whatever you think.
But when you can vote on the 2,000, it doesn't look like it in a year from now. Then the 4,000 is kinda taken off the table, we go from there, Not the commitment.
And I shared the city manager today, I don't get a lot of feedback from constituents,
Mhm.
but this is one issue that I've gotten quite a bit. And everybody's asked me to say no. So it's kinda hard to look at them and say,
Yeah.
yes.
This has been a problem source for the city residents of Carroll for many years, getting this public bathroom there and well maintained. And certainly there have been some bad feelings, some ill will throughout the years. We get that too, we hear that also. Once again, really, all we can do is move forward, and I certainly respect Councilman Koch, your ability to be here and voice the opinions of the folks who you're working with, and respect where you're coming from and your good work.
Yeah, and there again, I really appreciate all the work you guys have put into this. Everybody's put into this. There's effort, it shows importance.
I too have gotten resistance on this, Mike. And that's why I'm only saying this year at $2,000, and I'm not gonna, I gotta see more numbers coming in to help that resistance.
If that, I mean, what I'll do is, we can just have a motion to accept the report and go from there too.
Yep.
Yeah, and it doesn't preclude the fact that they can still go out and try and get the businesses going a little bit.
We'll see if we can get that chicken and egg going, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor.
Got it? So I'll make a motion to accept the report, or I need a motion to accept the report, I can't make motions. I just need a motion to accept the report.
I'll make a motion to accept the report.
And I'll second.
There's a motion and a second, if there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote please.
Base?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time tonight.
You bet. Final item on the agenda is the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget, set the public hearing date, and Laura, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Included with your agenda item tonight in the memo is the actual state forms that would be required to be filed upon approval by council. This is a chance for council to take a look at. This is the 3 nights that we went through the budget and that your budget binders all compiled into the state reports. Once we set the public hearing, that sets the levy as well as the maximum expenditure amount for next fiscal year. It can't be changed, it cannot be changed upwards, however, it could go down at the night of the public hearing if that was the desire of council.
Say it again, it can go up.
It cannot
It
go
can
up,
go down.
it can go down, if
Can't
for some
increase.
reason, yes, if for some reason you wanted to change it, it can only go down. As a reminder, the levy that is being proposed is $11.59.59799, which is essentially, was that about the same as it was last year?
It's 0.0005 increase.
Oh, okay, so literally it's about the same as it was last year.
Yeah.
That's impressive money.
Just have to say
I would draw your attention to, if you want to see one page, that there's a budget summary page. It's kind of towards the back, but basically what that adopted budget summary year ended June 30, 2021, is right before the debt page. What it does is it looks at, or it shows all the revenue and expenses for what you're budgeting for for the next fiscal year 21. Kind of is the main part of the page, but over on the right-hand side, it does give you 2 additional columns. One is the re-estimated information for 2020, and then the actual information from 2019 as what was filed in our annual financial report. I think this is a good page to see comparisons from one year to the next, from where you ended in 19, what you re-estimated for 20, and what you're proposing for fiscal 21.
This is the one that will have that levy included.
Yes, this information is the one that has all the levies.
All the levies.
All the levies are in this, yes. So tonight is if you have any questions on the forms that was included in your packet, but this is the time to set the public hearing for March 23rd, and we will get the notice of the public hearing in the paper. I believe the very last page is the notice of the public hearing that will be published in the newspaper.
Any other questions for Laura? If not, I need a motion to approve the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget, which includes setting March 23rd, 2020 as the date for a public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2021 budget, and directs the city clerk to publish said public hearing notice. And make sure I had all those 2020s correct. Yeah.
So moved. Thank you for getting that out, Mr. Mayor. Second.
There's a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Base? Yes. Fleshner?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. I trust everyone's read the committee reports and the monthly activity reports. Again, I'd like to thank, well, they left, but Councilman Haley and Councilwoman Seaman for participating in that. I think that was, there was a lot of information there, and I think that's kind of what I was looking for when we were looking. And I hope everybody else gets good information out of it.
Need anything else, let us know.
Yep. Are there any comments from the city council?
Well, I just went to, I went to a meeting on how city councils run. There was 20 different towns there, and we're doing almost everything perfect here. The only thing is the sign out there, you have to post your agenda, so it can be seen 24 hours a day, and ours is on the inside window. That's the only thing.
So it's gotta go on the outside.
Well, or be able to see
See
from
it.
the outside 24 hours a day. And I said, well, you know, we got it online. And they said, yeah, you still have to
Have it
That's
posted.
one little thing.
And,
That's all the stuff that we do, that's.
and I chatted with Mickey Shields at the league, he's the one that provided that training. And one of the comments he said is, it's not actually required by state law to be visible 24 hours a day. It's kind of a best practice. And one of the comment that he really made was, his first question was, when do you post your agenda? And I said, well, we post it typically Thursday afternoons. And when's your meeting? Monday. He said, you're fine. What happened was, there was a county that was posting their agenda at 5:05 on Friday. The courthouse building was locked already, and their meeting was at 8:30 in the morning. Well, no one could look at the agenda.
So that's what
He said, you know, as long as you're
so you made
posting
that a
it that
standard.
far in advance, you're
Okay.
fine. But
Well, then we're perfect.
Are there any comments from the city manager?
not the same. Thank you.
If not, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion and a second, we'll go ahead and vote please.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Katz,
Yes.
Steven,
Yes.
Pace,
Yes.
Jerks. We are adjourned.
Thank you.